Noah is one of the most remarkable figures in the Bible, known for his unwavering faith and obedience to God during a time of great wickedness. He lived in an era when humanity had turned away from righteousness, engaging in corruption and violence. Despite the sinful world around him, Noah remained faithful to God, earning divine favor. Because of his righteousness, God chose him to carry out a great mission, building an ark to preserve life. During a catastrophic flood, his story, recorded in the book of Genesis, teaches invaluable lessons about faith, obedience, divine judgment, and God's mercy. Noah was described as a righteous and blameless man who walked faithfully with God. Genesis 6-9. Unlike the rest of humanity, which had fallen into sin and corruption, Noah remained devoted to God's ways. His faith and integrity set him apart in a time when wickedness was rampant. God saw his righteousness and chose him to fulfill an extraordinary mission. Noah's character teaches that standing firm in faith, even in the face of widespread immorality, brings divine favor and protection. His story emphasizes that one person's righteousness can make a difference in a world filled with sin. As the world became increasingly wicked, God decided to cleanse the earth through a great flood. Genesis 6:13. He revealed his plan to Noah, warning him of the impending destruction and instructing him to prepare. This divine revelation was a test of Noah's faith, as there was no sign of rain or catastrophe at that time. However, Noah trusted God's word and began his preparations. This moment highlights God's justice in punishing sin while also demonstrating his mercy by giving humanity a chance to be saved. It also teaches the importance of heeding divine warnings and acting in faith. God gave Noah specific instructions to build an enormous ark. Genesis 6:14-22. The ark was to be made of gopher wood, covered in pitch, and designed with 3 levels to accommodate his family and all the animals. It took Noah decades to complete the ark, and he likely faced ridicule from others who did not believe in God's warning. Despite the opposition, he remained faithful and obeyed every detail of God's command. This part of Noah's story teaches the value of obedience, perseverance, and trusting God's instructions, even when they seem difficult or when others doubt and mock. As the flood approached, God commanded Noah to gather pairs of every kind of animal, male and female, into the ark. Genesis 7:2-3. This ensured the survival of all species after the floodwaters receded. In addition to the basic pairs, Noah was also instructed to bring 7 pairs of clean animals for future sacrifices. The animals came to Noah as part of God's divine plan, showing his control over all creation. This event demonstrates God's sovereignty and care for all living creatures, emphasizing that his plans are comprehensive, and he provides everything necessary for the survival of his creation. Once Noah, his family, and the animals were inside the ark, God sent rain for 40 days and 40 nights. Genesis 7:17-24. The floodwaters covered the entire earth, submerging even the highest mountains. Every living creature outside the ark perished, fulfilling God's judgment on the wickedness of humanity. The ark, however, remained afloat, protecting those inside. Noah and his family had to rely on faith as they waited for the waters to subside. This event teaches that while God is just in punishing sin, he is also merciful to those who trust in him and follow his commands. After 150 days, the flood waters began to recede, and the ark came to rest on Mount Ararat. Genesis 8-4. Noah and his family remained inside the ark, waiting patiently as the earth dried. This period tested their faith, as they had no knowledge of what awaited them outside. Eventually, as the waters continued to decrease, the tops of mountains became visible. Noah's patience and trust in God highlight the importance of waiting on divine timing. It teaches believers that, even after enduring hardships, God's plans unfold at the right moment, and patience leads to blessings and restoration. To determine if the earth was dry, Noah sent out a raven, which kept flying back and forth. Then he sent a dove, which returned because it found no place to rest. Genesis 8:6-9. A week later, he sent the dove again, and it returned with an olive leaf, signaling that vegetation was growing once more. Genesis 8-10-11. The olive leaf became a symbol of peace and new beginnings. This event teaches that God's mercy follows his judgment, and after a period of trials, he provides signs of hope and renewal for those who remain faithful to him. Once the earth was dry, Noah, his family, and the animals left the ark. The first thing Noah did was build an altar and offer sacrifices to God in gratitude. Genesis 8:20-22. Pleased with Noah's faithfulness, God made a covenant, promising never to destroy the earth with a flood again. This covenant highlights God's mercy and faithfulness to his promises. It teaches that true worship should be a response to God's grace and salvation. Noah's act of worship reminds believers to always acknowledge and thank God for his blessings, deliverance, and faithfulness in their lives. As a sign of his covenant, God placed a rainbow in the sky, declaring that it would serve as a reminder of his promise never to flood the earth again. Genesis 9:12-17. This rainbow symbolized hope, mercy, and God's everlasting faithfulness to his creation. To this day, the rainbow is a sign of divine assurance and a reminder that God keeps his promises. This teaches that even after great trials and divine judgment, God's love endures and his mercy remains. It encourages believers to trust in God's faithfulness and remember his promises, even in difficult times. Noah lived for 950 years and became the ancestor of all post-flood humanity. Genesis 9:29. His three sons Shem, Ham, and Japheth became the forefathers of different nations. Despite his faithfulness, Noah was still human, making mistakes later in life, but his overall legacy remains one of obedience and righteousness. His story continues to inspire generations about the importance of faith, perseverance, and trusting God's plan. Noah's legacy teaches that even in a corrupt world, staying faithful to God can lead to divine blessings and a lasting impact on future generations, shaping history according to God's purpose. Noah's story is one of faith, obedience, and divine grace. In a world filled with sin, he chose to walk with God, and as a result, he was chosen to carry out an extraordinary mission. From building the ark to witnessing the flood and receiving God's covenant, Noah's journey teaches valuable lessons about righteousness, patience, and trusting in God's promises. His story serves as a reminder that faithfulness to God, even in the face of opposition, brings divine favor and protection. Through Noah, God demonstrated both his justice and his mercy, showing that he rewards those who remain faithful.